Hello, and thanks for joining me today. Today, I want to take you on a 600-kilometer journey on foot across three of the Canary Islands. I did this in March very spontaneously. I just booked my flight there, took my tent and my hammock, and yeah, hiked wherever the path took me. So I always slept in my tent or hammock and on mountains, on the coastline, yeah, in volcanic craters, small that collapsed, and sometimes also in abandoned buildings when I was in the civilization where you can just put your tent anywhere. And sometimes also without a tent on just the dunes on my air mattress. Yeah, so at first I want to tell you a bit how the archipelago of the Canary Islands was created. So there beneath the archipelago there is a so-called hotspot, volcanic hotspot. It's the hot place in the mantle of the Earth, which creates volcanoes above it. And you would think that it would only create one big volcano, but since the tectonic plates above it are moving, it creates a line of volcanoes which then rise above the sea level and form islands. Yeah, the most right one is 20 million years old, and the left one, the west ones are only like 1 to 2 million years old. Yeah, and this also as another archipelago which was created like this is Hawaii, which is very popular. Yeah. So this is the largest volcano on the islands. It's the Teide on Tenerife. And the volcano's landscape is really otherworldly there. Yeah. And when you walk around Teide, you can also see the cooled down lava flows or lava caves that uh, like lava flows that left behind. Yeah, here's a big one where you even can walk into it. Yeah, well, you can near the big volcano, you can always see some crevices and caves. Yeah, all right. This is on top of the Teide, this is the look down into the big caldera. And it took me like one day to walk across the caldera and then up to Teide. I was very lucky that day because the cable car wasn't working because of the wind, so I was had the whole summit alone for me. Usually there are a ton of people up there. Yeah. This is the rock Hinchado. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right. Um, this also created by the volcanoes. This is the Roque de Agando. This is very interesting how it's created. So there was a big volcano there, and the magma within the vent of the volcano cooled down, forming a very, very dense and uh, very hard rock. And over the time, the volcano around it got eroded down, so you're left with one big, massive rock there, which looks really interesting. Yeah, this is a crater there with a lot of this very light rock. Maybe you know it if you have been to some kind of volcano. It almost feels like a piece of foam when you pick it up because and there's like air trapped inside it.
Think it's called pumice.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Not sure what it's called in English. In German, it's called Bimsstein. Yeah, this is a view from Gran Canaria. In the background, you can barely see Tenerife, with the tailor in the middle. And on the left side of the image, you can see one very big rock. This is, I think it's also was also created the same way as the last rock. This is the Rockwell Nublo. All right, and this is the view from the Rockwell Nublo. This is the Caldera de Tejeda on Gran Canaria. Very big. Ah, yeah, and all this rugged terrain there has led to many hyperstereos of mountains, which are my favorite stereos. Gonna show some now. This is the same caldera, only from a different angle, where it's a lot greener. This is a valley also on Gran Canaria. Here you can already see some of the terraces, the small plateaus, the indigenous people carved into the ground for agriculture. Yeah, this is the very dry part of Gran Canaria. Hiking on those islands often really feels like you're in a video game or something, because the landscape is changing so quickly. You go like 1 hour and suddenly you're from like rainforest, suddenly in the desert, and then a couple hours later you're in the mountains. It's all very close together, the different climate zones. Yeah, here you can see another interesting formation of rocks. It almost looks like a artificial wall there. Yeah, here another hyper stereo view of the caldera. In the middle, you can see the azuleos. Those are rock formations, and if you those are really big. So here they look really small, but in reality they're tens of meters, or like 30, 40 meters tall. This is on Tenerife in a valley. And this is on La Gomera. This is like the most original and wildest island I've been of the three. Not that much inhabited in comparison to the others. So, and now I come a little bit to the vegetation. The northern flanks of the mountains are often covered with the very special to those islands. That's the laurel forest, and it's a very old forest, which is very thick, and often clouds go through it, and the trees there evolved to use the principle that because it doesn't rain that much, but the clouds which go through it condense on the thick foliage, and then the water from that drops down on the ground to water the plants. Here you can see a close up. Yeah. And it was funny because one day I was camping like under a tree, and I thought the whole night, damn, it's raining all the time. And in the morning when I woke up and looked outside the tent, like only the spot where I was under the tree was wet. Everything else around it was still dry because all the water just came from the tree, from the clouds that condensed in the tree. Yeah, and the people there use this principle and build big nets which collect water from the clouds that go through it, and and store it in a tank beneath the surface. Yes, those are some pictures from within some forests there hiking. And especially in the morning, it always looks really cool hiking through the forest when there's like fog and the sun barely shines through the trees. Yeah, and other vegetation that grows there is like often you see citrus trees in the wet parts of the island. And in the dry parts, there's often mostly like cacti, aloe, some shrubs, and palm trees, and oftentimes big banana plantations. This is a very special place. It's the dunes in the town called Maspalomas on Gran Canaria. It's like it's like 1 kilometer wide or so. It's a very big beach basically, but it almost looks like Sahara there, like a desert. This is also this is a big tree. It's a dragon tree. You can often find those like in villages there. This one especially is said to be 1,000 years old, but as far as I heard, that's that's not proven because they don't let anyone there to look at the tree or something. Yeah, but no, not sure. I'm not sure if it is really 1,000 years old.
Maybe only 900.
Yeah. This here you can see this on Gomera. It's a very extreme example of the terraces that the indigenous people that came like 1,000 before Christ there. They terraformed like the whole landscape there. You always see terraces with fields and stuff. Yeah. But most of them aren't used nowadays because nowadays the most of the economy is with tourism and um, what's it called? Agriculture is only a small part by now. And here you can see it was a sorry for the low quality. I had to zoom in digitally. This is a village which is almost entirely built into a cliff, into caves. Really cool. And the small parts they have of flat ground are only used for fields and growing crops. This is another example of a house which is built into a cave. And because of the volcanoes, there are a lot of caves there, so it's really common to have caves, houses in caves there. Yeah, you can also find often like shelters from people who like drop out of society, and many of them are like Germans who go there and then like often older people like 50 years old who want to chill the rest of their lives uh, at the beach and yeah. This is the very typical building architectural style of the houses there with the natural rocks uh, within the wall. Yeah. Yeah, and this is a very common sight near in the lower parts of the islands, big banana plantations. Yeah, this is the port. Yeah, oftentimes you also see ruins of houses, and uh, what you see really often are those threshing floors, which were used to thresh the weeds, or yeah, no, not exactly sure what they were doing there, but I guess for threshing. Yeah, many lost places to discover, which is also a thing I really like. Some of those are already taken back by nature. Yeah, you can see this is like the oldest observatory on a high mountain. Uh, yeah, and within this ruin, I also stayed the night. Yeah, oftentimes you also see like some mine shafts or water pathways into the mountain where they were like are like what is it called? Fountains where water's coming out of the mountain.
It's called a spring.
Spring, yeah, thanks. Yeah, and many there are a lot of abandoned houses where like graffiti artists have put their work. Yeah. And oftentimes you see in the jungle houses which look abandoned, but there are also people who like dropped out of society living. In this house, I met a very nice guy from Germany. I stayed there one night. Yeah, and the one big problem the Canary Islands are facing is droughts and wildfires, especially on Gran Canaria and yeah, on all of the islands usually, but this is on Gran Canaria. There are big big areas with burned down trees.
And is that recent, like within the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think there like always has been wildfires, so the pine trees there have evolved kind of to survive the wildfires because oftentimes you see the pine trees growing out again after they have been almost burnt down. But I think it gets more and more often these days. Yeah. Yeah, with more people there, and there's the danger higher that someone like throws out a cigarette or something and then a wildfire starts. Yeah, and the problem is the water supplies are very sparse there. Like water reservoirs like this are very sparse, very rare. Most of them look like this, where there's almost no water left. So yeah, I think they had really big problems extinguishing the fires because they didn't have enough water to do it. Yeah, yeah. So thanks for the attention, and I hope you enjoyed the hiking trip.